In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to fit under cabinet lighting in your kitchen that comes on with a motion sensor and can be controlled by Alexa without using a hub. If that sounds like something you're interested in, then keep watching. So first, what are we going to need for this? So you're going to need LEDs that work with Amazon Alexa. You're also going to need a Wi-Fi motion sensor. And finally, you're going to need an extension wire and the connectors that come with that. I will leave a link in the description for all the products I use in this video. You will need a pair of scissors to be able to cut the LED strips and the extension wire. You will need a tape measure. You will also need a small pair of pliers, and these are just for the connectors to help clip them into place because it is quite difficult by hand, and the pliers will just help and make it easier. One optional tool you will need for this is a drill, and that's if you're happy to drill into your cupboards. If not, you can run the wires externally outside the cupboard. The wire I chose was white, which blends in with my cupboards, so I could do that. But I've actually opted to drill into the cupboard and hide the wires just so you can't see them. But as I've said, whatever you prefer, it is an optional step. So if you do want to drill into your cupboards, you are going to need a drill. So the reason that I've bought these light strips is that they do not require a hub. They are able to work just on your Wi-Fi and be controlled by your Amazon Echo, either through your voice or through routines, which we'll be using in this video. So the plan is to have under cabinet kitchen lights, which are triggered by a motion sensor. This is so when you walk into the kitchen in the evening, you're able to have some light immediately. You don't have to switch any switches on. If I'm only going in the kitchen for something quick and I don't need a lot of light, I just need to see where I'm going, then these lights will let you see what you're doing, and this just creates a really nice atmosphere as well. Now let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is to choose where your plug socket is going, so then you can run your LEDs from that point. You don't want to sort of run the LEDs one way and then realize that your plug is on the other side of the room. So start from your plug and then roll the LED out to where it's going to go. And then you can clearly see on the LEDs where they have scissor marks, which means you can cut them there and then you can use the wire extension. This is clearly marked on the LEDs, and you just need to be quite careful that you are cutting exactly where that line is. So for part of the prep, what you're going to want to do is see how much LED strip you need, cut it to the sizes that you want for that particular cupboard. If you have gaps in your cupboard like I do, where I'm actually doing this, I have the cupboards, then it raises up to the microwave. I want lights underneath there as well. And then it comes back down and I want the lights to carry on underneath the rest of the cupboards. So this is why I've had to use the extension wire instead of one just continuous strip. If you do have just one row of cabinets all on one level, this would be a lot easier. You wouldn't need the extension wire. You would just be able to run an LED all the way through. But some cupboards are more complicated, and this is a way you can still make it work with the extension wires and these clips. So let's talk about how far back you want your LEDs to be. I would advise to just switch them on and move them back and forth on your cupboard, and maybe have someone, if you can, stand back on the other side of the room and let you know where it looks best. For me, I found that 5 centimeters in from the face of the cupboard seemed to look the best, and that's what I'll be doing in this video. So to hide the wires using a drill, what you're going to have to do is drill up through the bottom of the cupboard and then feed the wire through. This does mean that you're going to have some wires in your cupboard. Now you could clean these up with some command clips, so they're not accidentally getting caught when you're putting things in or taking things out of your cupboards, depending on whereabouts the placement of them are. Now another way of hiding your wires is you could get a small piece of wood, paint it the same colour as your cabinets, and the LEDs and the wires would hide behind this. It is just an idea for you if you don't want to drill into your cupboards. And also you could just have the wires run back to the wall and run up sort of out of the way where people wouldn't necessarily see them as much and they're not as obvious. It's completely your preference. So the connector clips. If you don't get these with your extension wire, then you can just order them on Amazon. They're quite easy to find. All you want is the ones that go from the wire to the LED, and they just make the job a lot easier because you're not having to solder wires. You can just put the wires in one side, put the LED strip in the other side. As long as it's lined up right with the pins inside the clip, then you are able to close them with the pliers, and there you've got a solid connection. The fact that they're non-solder just makes this so much easier. So to use the clips, you're going to want to separate your wires slightly so you can post each of the 4 wires into the individual holes on the clip. On the other side of the clip is where you insert your LED strip. This just lines up with the 4 pins inside the connector, hitting the 4 pins on the LED strip. One thing to be mindful of is to make sure that you have enough clips before you start your job. Luckily, I only needed 4 clips and not all 5, so I was able to do this with the clips that came with the kit. So now that I've put the LEDs on and I've done my connector clip, I've fed the wire through and I've put more LEDs on, I'm just going to continue this through until the cupboard is complete. So with the LED strips, if they are flashing orange and green, that means that they're in pairing mode. If they're not in pairing mode for any reason, you can press the button on the white unit attached to the plug socket, and that will put them in pairing mode. You just have to press and hold that for 10 seconds to put them back in pairing mode at any time if you need to do that. So once your LEDs are fitted, you're then going to need to download the Tapo app and pair the device to the LEDs. This is so you can then control it with the app and add an Alexa skill. To make this process a lot easier of the installation, you're going to want to go into your router's settings and turn the Wi-Fi to 2.4 GHz setting only, because it won't connect to the 5 GHz setting and you could get a lot of pairing failed messages. So to avoid that, go into the router and try and switch to just 2.4. If you can, just switch 5 off and then leave it on 2.4 and it should work just fine. Then once your router's ready, put the light into pairing mode and follow the instructions in the app to add the device. Once this is done, your device will pair and the lights will stop flashing and become a solid colour. You're then able to control the colours and the brightness in the app. Once the LEDs are paired, you can then move on to the motion sensor. So the motion sensor that I'm using is a Wi-Fi motion sensor by Hey. I got this on Amazon. Now the reason I bought this specific motion sensor is because it is Wi-Fi. A lot of motion sensors are Zigbee, but because we wanted to do this video with no hub required, I've used a Wi-Fi motion sensor. So to put the motion sensor into pairing mode, it actually comes with a clip that you can insert into the back of it where the reset button is. You hold that in there for 10 seconds and the red light of the motion sensor will begin to blink rapidly. When I installed this motion sensor, I did not have much luck using the Hey app. That could have just been me. If you do have any issues, you can do what I did and use the Toya Smart app, which for me just worked a lot better. It actually connected first time with no issues to that app, so that's the one I've used. If this is the option you decide to go with, then be sure to install the Toya Smart skill on your Amazon Echo in your Alexa app. Once the skills are installed, your Alexa app will be able to find both of the devices. Now that both skills have been installed into the Alexa app, you're able to set up routines. Now in routines, you're going to want to go to When, go to Smart Home, and find your motion sensor. Then you go to Will and add an action and go to Smart Home Lights and find what you have named your lights. You can set the lights to come on in the evening up until the early hours of the morning. This is just because it's generally dark and that's when you're going to use these lights. You can always alter these times. They can be adjusted depending on the time of year. If we're having longer days, you might want the lights to start coming on a little later. You can always adjust this by editing the routine. You don't have to create a new one. So that when motion is detected, the cabinets will light up. I chose a blue colour just because I really like the atmosphere and it's enough light for me to still see around my kitchen for anything I'm going to want to get. So now that you've set a routine for the lights to come on, we're going to want to set a routine for the lights to go off if no motion is detected for a particular period of time. So I've set mine at 5 minutes of no motion detected because, as I've said, this is mainly just for if I'm nipping into the kitchen to get something, these lights are just going to come on automatically. But I probably won't be in there for a long time, so 5 minutes with no motion detected seemed like long enough for me. You can obviously set this to whichever time you prefer. A good thing to remember is that every motion sensor has a cooldown period. So I believe that the motion sensor I use in this video by Hey has a cooldown of around 1 minute, but every motion sensor will have a cooldown from anywhere between 30 seconds or 2 to 3 minutes. So especially when you first get this and you want to test it out and you think, oh no, it's not working, it might just be that you're walking in and out of the kitchen trying to trigger the routine again and again, whereas you are in that cooldown period and that's why it's not working. Just come out of the room, wait a few minutes, go back in and see if it works. When you do actually start using it, you'll probably find that you're not walking in and out of the kitchen that quickly, and therefore it'll just work. But it is just something to be aware of, especially when you're first testing the motion sensor. So finally, we are good to go, and here is the reveal of the finished product. I'm so happy that now when I walk into the room, it just sets these lights off. It's all set up in an Alexa routine. I can change this, adjust it whenever I want. I can change the color of the lighting. It just gives you a lot of options. I am going to add a small piece of wooden trim to the bottom of the cabinets just so these LEDs can't be seen, and I just think it will create a better finish. But if you're happy with them like this, then you could just leave them as they are. If you've enjoyed this video and want to start your own Alexa smart home, then be sure to check out this video. I really hope that you found this video useful. If you have, then please don't forget to hit the like button so more people will get to see it. If you would like to contribute and support this channel, then check out my Patreon. The link for that is in the description below. And until next time, thanks for watching.